Locho sampo pagyo trashi pa tuche tempe trile yarn pege drolor zampe te parachen palden lame shabla solvade Omo a Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Karma Utta Vardanya Shri Bar Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om a Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Karma Utta Vardanya Shri Bar Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Suma Timo Nishasa Vajra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Suma Timo Nishasane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Pakyukyo Kodandagi Lu Pakyukyo Sundandagi Pakyukye Todandagi Iteyerme Chiktu Jingil Pakyukye Kudan Dagilu Pakyukye Sondandagina Pakyukye Tudan Dagi Teyerme Chiktu Jingilo Makyukye Gilu Makyukye Sondandagina Makyukye Tuda Dagi Teyerme Chiktu Jingilo Om Mahamuni Kyamunye Soha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Shakya Munye Soha Sangye Chedan Soge Chonamla Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Chinso Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchra Sangye Druparisho Sangye Chedan Soge Chonamla Chanchu Pardo Dani Kyaps Dagi Chinso Gibe Sonam Drola Pinchira Sangye Druparisho Sangye Chedan Tsogi Chonamla Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchira Sangye Druparisho. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge unto enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay. So, well, just remembering now, Rinpoche always likes to start with so. And he explains, he starts like to so because so means to regenerate in Tibetan, no? From NgalSo. So it's like so it's like we regenerate. So, regenerating. We were looking at a part of the preliminary practices, and then after having seen the part of purifying the we call it Sashi Dan Chepe Chinlap Chachul, which means purifying the land, the environment, and the transforming and preparing the offerings. We go to the next part, which is actually inviting the holy beings, or generating the merit field, we call. And here comes one point that for me it's also important, because sometimes I see that we have two tendencies that are, one is to see all the Buddhas and the 5 Dhyani Buddhas and so on as something that is totally not connected with us. There they are, here I am. So I ask for their help. And on the other side, sometimes we have the tendency just to go to the other extreme, and we see all the Buddhas and everything, they do not exist at all. It's just metaphors and symbols, and they're just archetypes to represent my qualities, and there is nothing more than that. And it's not exactly one or the other. It's in the way between. Sure, when we talk about the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, for example, not only them, but most of the deities in Buddhism, they are actually representations of our own qualities developed at their maximum potential. But this doesn't mean that holy beings don't exist. Like, when a person dies, what happens? The very subtle mind separates from this gross body, and then the person continues to exist in a different way, a different form, a different appearance, but continues to exist. Similar to that, we could say even when a person reaches enlightenment, what happens? He ceases to exist or continues? Continues. The difference is that this person at that point is totally free to choose where to be reborn, how to be reborn, and there has no more the concept of one life and another. Is the experience of constancy. Like for us, of continuity, for us now, when from one life to the other is like going to sleep and waking up with a total amnesia of what happened the day before. It's like how we go from one life to the other. Like, even though I had a total amnesia of what happened yesterday, I don't remember anything. Does that mean that it was not me? No. So it's not because I don't remember what I did in my past life, it doesn't mean that it was not me. So one of the aspects of reaching enlightenment is that it's like dying and being reborn is just like falling asleep and waking up, but being the same person, having memory of everything. With the difference that a Buddha is also aware during the process of falling asleep and sleeping and waking up and so on. So What happens is that when someone reaches enlightenment, this person, this being continues to exist. This is for sure. And when we talk about holy beings, are mostly beings that have reached enlightenment, have gone out of the cycle of suffering, and we request their presence because when we talk about receiving blessings, in order for us to receive a blessing, it's not enough only there to be someone to give a blessing to us, but we need to be open to receive that blessing. It's similar, for example, let's say we are on a room or we are walking on a street, and suddenly there is a person on that room, for example, that is very happy. If we have a special connection with that person, and we look at that person, we are open to that person, is that happiness going to influence us or not? Yes. Or if the person is angry and nervous, if we are open to that person, if we connect to that person, that's going to influence us, right? But what happens if the same person is acting and doing the same way, if happy or sad, and actually we have no connection at all with that person? It's just like one as anyone else, and we do not open ourselves to that person. It's not influencing us as much. Okay? So, how much influence we receive from others depends also very much how much we are open to others. It's like my sensation is like if we are able somehow to syntonize. We can choose the frequency, and we can choose if we want to be in syntony or not with one person or another. Like there are some types of situations in which it's better to go out of syntony. We can choose, really we can choose. It's like, for me, it's similar to one time I was 10 or 8, 9, I don't know, whatever. I was in school, and my music teacher was giving a lesson. And he taught us how to choose what to listen. I remember it was so nice to listen when you have many sounds and you can choose which sound you want to listen. Then he put a music with many instruments, and he was teaching us how to recognize one instrument and listen more to that instrument instead of the other one. So we can do that, right? We can choose where we want to give the attention of the sounds that come. When we see something, many things I can see, but I can choose where to put my focus also. So I can do the same thing also with my ear. I can even do the same thing with my touch, actually. Okay? And we can do the same thing with the energies around us also. So with the people around, with all the things that is happening, we can also choose where we want to focus, what we want to be open to regarding the energy that is around us. Okay? So that's why it's said that when we talk about blessings, it's not a matter only of having someone to bless us, but it's most of all a matter of us being or not being open to receive such blessings. This is very important. Because a Buddha is supposed to have the same compassion to us all. It's not more compassion to one or less compassion. If you're really open to Buddha, he's going to have more compassion to you and take better care. It's not like that. The main thing is how open we are. Okay? And even if we look from a very more gross level of experience from ourselves, if there is someone that, let's say we want to help, there are 5 people, we want to help all of them in the same way. We don't make any distinction. But one of them is not caring for our help, doesn't want to know anything. One is against us. Another person is very much willing to follow and to learn something and is very happy for the help that he's receiving. Finally, to which one we are going to put more energy? The one that is open to receive, because it's where we see that it's more fertile land where to plant our own seeds, no? It's not a matter of liking one or not liking the other. So, in this way, when we invite the merit field, what we are doing is we are opening ourselves for the blessings. And the blessings is something important because when we receive a blessing, it means that we are receiving a positive condition that helps us to transform our mind. It's like touching our heart. And we talked a little bit about it yesterday. I personally had many experiences, and simply sometimes there is this sensation of joy, or sometimes it manifests in people with cry. You don't know why, you don't know from where. Like I had a very strong emotion like this once. For example, in Lama in Tibet, there is this important lake, sacred lake. And some things that there's no way how to explain, not really much words how to explain it. But it makes some change. It changes something inside us. There's something that moves. And there are some places that we go, and just simply by entering that place or being with the presence of a person, that we can feel. It's almost like if we can touch the energy somehow. Like one very holy place here in Europe is where is the place of Saint Francis in Assisi. There is the place where his body is. And it's really, really a very special place. It's a place that when we go inside, we can feel the difference. We can feel something there. No? And on the other side, for example, I remember one time in India there was a forest where I used to go sometimes to walk, like half an hour from the monastery. And it happened 1 or 2 times I was walking with 2 friends there. And then suddenly we enter one part of the forest, and we looked to each other. I said, oh, better we go back. It's like very strange. It's like passing a door, and it's not a door. It was one part of the forest. When we go in, strange feelings, like changing the air changes, the feeling changes. The sensation is completely different. So we say, okay, maybe it's not so comfortable here. No, okay, better we change. And so we are sensible to many conditions around us, okay? We are very sensitive to many conditions around us. And some of them is, for example, if we are nearby a person that is angry, we are influenced by it. If we are nearby a person that is full of love and compassion, we are influenced by it. I don't know if we could use the scientific idea of mirror neurons to talk about it, no? But I see, for example, when we are nearby Lama Ganchen, many people just like to be there. It's not a matter of talking, it's not a matter of listening, it's a matter just of being by his presence. And the experience is we feel healed by it, we feel benefit by it. And it's simply like this is receiving the blessings. Okay? So we could find many different ways how to explain it, the names to give to it. But the fact is that blessings do exist. So what we do in the practice is that we request the holy beings to come to this place. We request them to come here because by making the request, we are opening ourselves for their presence. And it's said that all the forms of life without a physical body, which can be even like the being of a bardo, when we die, and sure, the Buddhas, there is no doubt for that, they are clairvoyant, which means they can read the mind. So that's why, for example, when a person dies, we can communicate with that person through the mind, it's not through the speech. That's why the importance of prayer and so on. So, when we make the request, when we visualize Guru Buddha, when we make the request for Guru Buddha to come, and we invite the holy beings, it's not just a visualization. We really request for it to happen. And this is the moment where we connect the sacred, which is sure there is the part of our own potential of enlightenment, but then there is the part also of connecting to those that have already developed what we want to develop and getting connected to it. Okay? So in this part we call inviting the merit field. And one important part also is that in our spiritual path, we need to accumulate merits and to purify our negativities. These are 2 concepts quite difficult to explain. They are not so complex really, but because in our culture we don't have the concept. We don't have the words even. So even the translations are not really that good. And so I would just try to put it in few words because the next part that we're going to explain has a lot to do with it. Okay? So first thing is that there is this word in Sanskrit called punya, in Tibetan sunam, And it is a word that there is no much translation, really. People try to translate it as merit, positive energy, positive karma. It's not, at least for me, it doesn't give really so much clearly the idea. And on the other side, you have what we call dikpa in Tibetan. And it's translated as negative karma, or sometimes it's translated as sin. And still here is not so negative action. Okay? Sometimes I prefer to give the explanation, the definition, more than the word. Then you find the word you prefer. But we need to give the definition. I think this is something very important for us. This is, okay, just in brackets in between. When we talk to each other, to give definitions of things. Because very often we can stay discussing for hours about two things different using the same name. And then it creates confusion. It's like one time I was in Rome, and then the taxi guy, he looked at me, and I was alone, and I was in the taxi, and then he looked at me and said, "What are you?" Look, you know. And I said, "I am a Buddhist practitioner, a Buddhist monk." He was not understanding much. And then he looked and said, "Do you people believe in death?" In death? I was trying to understand the question. Do you believe in death? Sure, I believe in death, no? What a question. So before answering him, I asked him back, "What do you mean by death?" Because otherwise it would be too obvious, the answer, no? And then he was not answering me, so I said, "Okay, if you mean that death is the total end of everything, I don't believe in death. If by death you mean the separation of body and a subtle mind, and there is a continuity after death, then I do believe in death." It's so important to give definitions to things. It's like I learned this when we studied in the monastery, because during the debates, whenever you start a debate, first thing you do is you say, "Give me the definition." Then you give the definition. Then we can debate on the definition. Once we are sure about the definition, then we continue. That's why debates can take ages, no? So, but this is something important for us. That's why very often I prefer to go through the definition more than the word. Then we can have hundreds of words to say that same thing, but especially with different countries, different cultures, different languages. But it's important to understand the meaning. Okay? So, as we go through it, when we talk about merit, the definition is the following. I don't know the definition itself, but the explanation is the following. We are totally unable to experience anything without having created the causes for it. Okay? Anything that we experience is because at some point I created the causes to experience it. So in the moment that I have pleasure of drinking water, and I experience the sensation of pleasure, the taking the water right now is the condition. But at some point, I created causes in order to experience it. The moment that we are together and we experience a nice time together, coming here and organizing the course and doing all of this are the conditions. But at some point, each one of us, we created the causes to be here together. Okay? So everything that we experience is a result of causes that we have accumulated in the past. Without creating the causes, we cannot experience the result. Okay? If we make a metaphor, which personally I don't like very much, but I think it's quite simple to understand, is in order for me to be able to buy anything, I need to have the money and someone needs to be selling it. It's not because I am free to buy whatever I want that I can buy anything I want. First, I need to accumulate the money, and it's not think of one day. I need to have the money. Second, there must be someone selling it. Okay? So, the causes is like accumulating the money. The conditions in the present is like having someone that is selling it. Okay? So when we talk about merit, merit is like the credits that we accumulate. The positive causes that we have accumulated. That's what we call normally sonam, merit. How does the merit manifest? It manifests through sensation. So every sensation of pleasure is the result of a positive action, positive karma, of merit. Every sensation of suffering is the result of a negative karma, negative action. Okay? So, for me, if I develop patience and I develop love and at the same time I am more generous and I have more wisdom, my sensations of suffering will become less and less, and my sensation of pleasure will become more and more. So in order for me to be able to have that, I must create the causes for it. What happens when we do not have enough causes? We can have all the conditions, but we cannot experience the result. This we see in many ways. I remember always the story of this girl in India, and her mother was a beggar, and the mother was deaf and dumb. And I tried to help this girl so much. I found a sponsor for her. I brought money. One day, I went to look for a school for this girl, boarding school for this girl. I did 14 hours by car, going and coming back to go to look for this school. And I was going with a friend. And then he met another monk, his friend, and he said, "Oh, you like to come with us? Where are you going?" "Just to the corner, come in." Then it took him 7 hours to go, 7 hours to come back. This is monks' jokes, no? So they just make this type of jokes to each other. So, and he was busy needing to do other things, and finally he just gave up everything. No? Anyhow, so I went there, I looked for the way to help this girl. I did so many things, but it was impossible. She was from a lower caste. She was not accepted, maybe. To me, they say yes, but finally not. And I tried all my best to help. I couldn't. No way. It's like having and the sponsor, this lady from Italy, she was always sending a lot of money and wanting to help her so much. And I was not able. I tried in all my best, the best way how I could. And then for me, it was very clear. It's like when she had all the conditions, but the causes were not there. It's like, okay, all the conditions are here, but still the result is not happening. On the other side, we have people that have all the negative conditions and they don't have the negative result. Okay? Let's say we have an accident. The person that was in the most safe place gets hurt, and the person that was in the most dangerous position don't happen anything. Okay? There are many, many, many stories and examples that we can do when a person have all the conditions but do not experience the result. And we say in Buddhism is because this person have not created the causes. On the other side, you can have all the positive conditions and you don't have the result because you don't have the causes also. So in order for us to experience stability, joy, satisfaction, and in order to be able to develop our qualities such as love and compassion and patience and generosity and wisdom, not just conceptually but deep within ourselves, it's not enough just to understand and to meditate. We need also to accumulate merit. This is something very clear. That's why, for example, in monasteries like Sera, we study a lot. Then there is also the part of meditation, but then there is also the part of doing karma yoga to accumulate merit and all the other ways of accumulating merit, because we need to have that. My sensation sometimes is when someone have all the intellectual knowledge but is not able to apply it. It's like if they are missing the merits to apply it. Okay. So, in our practice, one important part is to accumulate merit, which means to generate the causes necessary to have good results, and to purify our negativities. Purify the negativities, it means to eliminate the negative causes we have created without needing to experience the results. Some people say, when I am suffering, I am purifying. No. When we are suffering, we are extinguishing the causes of suffering. This is for sure. It's like, using the same example as before, if I am paying the debt, I go to the bank and I start paying the debt. Am I extinguishing the debt every time I go there and I pay or not? Yes, it's becoming less and less, no? Not completely eliminated, but every time I pay, the depth is becoming smaller. But this is not purifying. Purifying is like I find a way how to get an, how do you say in English? Amnesty, so that I don't need to pay the debt anymore. Okay? So purification means to eliminate the causes without needing to experience the results. That's what we mean by purification. Purification is prevention. I have done some negative things in my life, some stupid things I have done in this life, and if I multiply for all the others before, sure, there was many things there. Better I purify them before I need to experience the result. Because once the karma is manifested, then it's very difficult to stop. It's like sickness. If I'm able to stop the sickness before it manifests, then it's much easier. Once the sickness is manifested, then I need to deal with it. No choice. It's like if I throw something from a high place, until it's in my hand, I can still keep it. Once it's gone, no choice. It's going to fall down. It's like one of the disciples of Buddha was called Moggallana. And when we have the depiction of Buddha, like here, there are two main disciples. One is called Shariputra, and the other one is called Moggallana. And Moggallana, Shariputra was very intelligent. He was extremely intelligent from the point of view of logics and dialectics, and he was very, very intelligent. While Moggallana, he said that he was very much able in all the things like magical and mystical things, and he was doing like all sorts of illusions, and he was able to disappear and to fly and do all sorts of strange things. But one day, Moggallana, he was in a land far away from the place where he was living with Buddha, and he reached a place where people didn't like Buddhists. So he was in the middle of some people, and whatever condition created, these people gathered around him and beat him up. And they beat him so badly that he was all broken. And when he arrived in the monastery after walking for a few days with all these difficulties, he was there all broken, and this was the condition through which he died after, not long after. People asked why you didn't fly away, why you didn't show some magic, did something so the people would just let you go. And he said, when your karma catches you, there is no way to escape. First of all, he was not complaining about the people that beat him. He was saying, my karma catch me. I created causes in the past, and now the conditions appear, and I am receiving the results. That's all. So no need for anger, no need for hatred, no need for violence. But the point is that to purify means to eliminate the causes before they manifest. Once they manifest, then we need to pay the price. Then it's too late to purify. So this makes very clear that to purify is not by generating suffering that we purify. If it was by suffering that we purify, we make some nice malas with some metal points at some parts, and then we do practices of purification. We do purification sessions. I can help you to purify yourself. Okay, but that's not working. That's not purification. Okay? Sure, when we experience suffering, are we eliminating some cause of suffering? Yes, we are paying some debt, that's for sure. But that's not purification. Okay? So in the practice, it's important, one of the parts important in our path is to accumulate merits and to purify the negativities. These are two parts. So in order for us to do these two things also, one of the aspects that we do is we invite Guru Buddha. We invite the holy beings to come here in order for me to make offerings, which is one of the ways of accumulating merits. To accumulate merits, there are many methods, but the most well-known method to accumulate merits is to give to others. To share what we have, to give, to help others, to do something. And when we give something to others, there is a distinction, that is, when we give something to someone that has a higher spiritual development than ours, it's called an offering. When we give something to someone that has an equal or lower spiritual development than ours, it's called an act of generosity. This is the main difference. It's always giving. It's always sharing. And these two are the two main ways how to accumulate merits. That's why also from the 6 perfections, the first quality that we need to perfect in the Mahayana path is the perfection of generosity. Nagarjuna describes it saying that for our spiritual path, it is also necessary to have the minimum material necessary that we need. We need to have a place to live, we need to have food, we need to have the minimum necessary. And that's why generosity is the first part of the practice also, because it's by giving that we receive. If we are not generous, we will not receive back also. Okay? So, by inviting Guru Buddha, we have this so-called merit field. Merit field is like, it's really literal somehow. We need to listen to it in a literal way because it's a field where we can plant the seeds of merit. It's a field that is, fertile for our merits. This is the meaning of a merit field. It means it's a place that if I plant the seeds of my positive actions, they will give good results. So, to whom, where do we plant the seeds of our merits? Guru Buddha. So invite Guru Buddha, and that's our merit field, because it's a fertile place where we can do positive actions. Okay? And it's said that in accordance with to whom we make offerings, depending on their own level of development and qualities, we can accumulate more or less merits ourselves. Okay? That's why normally, and it all depends on the connection we have, that's why we make one very powerful field, which is the union of our gurus and all holy beings together. So it's like a very powerful field. So when we know that it's extremely fertile, so every positive action I do towards it, it will sure bring results. Okay? So that's what we call inviting the merit field. Tsokshin, we say in Tibetan. So we have first the part that is visualizing the merit field, and then there is the part of inviting the wisdom beings. So we start with visualizing, and the visualization of the merit field can be done in many different ways. Some of them extremely complex, and some others very simple. We will go with the very simple version. Okay? For many reasons. One reason is because it takes very long time to explain the very complex versions, but mainly because most of us are not really able to visualize it. So what's the point of explaining something very complex if we are not able to visualize the simple one? We start with the simple one, then once we are able to do that, then we can go with the others, no? Like the complex visualization, we have so many Buddhas and gurus, and like maybe more than 250. And then by the side of each guru, you have the texts that they have written with the right number of volumes. Okay, Lama Tsongkhapa wrote 18 volumes. That's the one I remember. But then you need to know how many volumes Papunka Rinpoche wrote, how many volumes Gyatso Rinpoche and Kedo Rinpoche, and you visualize the volumes by their side, and like it's quite complex, the whole thing. And which implement they are holding, and which is where, it's quite a lot. So this is for someone that makes their own practice their full-time job, no? Or someone that have a greater capacity of visualization. We start with the simple one, which in Tibetan is called Kundu Norbu Luk. Kundu, kun means all, du means to combine, norbu means jewel, luk is system, tradition. So the system that combines all jewels into one, that combines all that is precious into one. Okay? So this is called in Tibetan Kundu Norbu Luk, where we visualize only one image. We don't need so many, and everything is combined into it. Okay? That's the one personally I prefer to do. So what we will visualize Guru Buddha. There are different ways of visualizing Guru Buddha. In this case, we will visualize Guru Buddha in the appearance as our own Guru. So how is the face and the expression and the external appearance is as our Guru. Why we visualize the Guru? When we visualize a holy being, it shouldn't be something far away from us. It should be something that touches our heart, that we feel emotional. It's not just conceptual. Okay? If we imagine, okay, you imagine Buddha Akshobhya, or if we visualize any image of Buddha, for the greatest that can be our faith and respect, very often it may be something very far away. In the moment that we visualize our Guru, someone to whom when we see it gives us joy, like I can talk about my own experience. When I see my Gurus, sometimes I feel like a small child, not knowing really very much well what to say, how to act. And some moments it gives like this great joy. Just to be by their presence is not a matter of necessarily needing to listen to anything and so on. And it gives this deep joy. And the Guru is the one that connects me through all the holy beings to the sacred, to the Buddha, to the Dharma, to the Sangha. So, when we talk about visualizing the merit field, it's not just like, okay, you try to make a nice drawing in your mind. It is really imagining the presence of Guru Buddha. Guru Buddha is there with his love, with his kindness, with his joy, with his stability. And just by being in his presence, we feel overwhelmed with joy. So, it's something that it's deep in us. And normally, when we talk about the relationship with the Guru, this is something that very often was not being taught much in the West, because there is the danger that the one that is teaching looks like I am saying, oh, you must see me in that way or respect me in that way, okay? But I put myself here as a Westerner, together with all of you, I put myself in the same level. But to talk about something that is extremely important. What happened is that I was reading one time one explanation about the correct view how to relate to the Guru, correct way how to relate to the Guru, and it is by a great Western Buddhist scholar. And he was saying in it, he's saying, oh, one of the problems that we have very often in Dharma centers is that people see their Gurus as teachers, and they don't have this deep connection from the heart. I was looking around me, and I was looking at our centers, and I said, I think our point is the opposite. No? I think very often in the Dharma centers around Lama Ganges, it's the opposite way. We have this deep connection with the heart, and maybe we don't see much as a teacher. We don't know. It's like, it's this deep connection. No? It's like falling in love. No? And then what happened is that very often I see people go into conflict. Why? I love you. I feel attracted by you. I think about you. I'm happy when I see you. But you are not my friend. You are not the person with whom I go to the movies. You are not my friend in this sense. You are not my family. You are not my lover. What are you? Because normally, in our normal life, in our culture, who are the people to whom we are attracted and we love? Family, friends, and let's call lovers, partners, husband, wife, whatever. Okay? Is there any other category? Okay, pets. Yes. Okay? Is there any other category? Normally not. So, but to pop stars is a different thing. We have some sort of veneration, no? But normally when we have love to someone, it's within these three categories. So what happens is that people feel love towards, suddenly I have a person there and I feel love, and I don't know where to put. Like some time ago, one person came to me. It was a nice moment, and he said, I was explaining about this. And then he said, very nice, he said, oh, thank you so much, Lama, for what you explained today, because finally I understood something, because if you were a woman, I would have said that I'm in love with you. No? So it is like, And it's difficult sometimes because we don't know really what it is. Because did we ever, normally in our culture, do we have the guru of our parents? Not for many of us. Did we have we grew up knowing, okay, here is the guru and that's how, no, we're not able, it's not part of our culture. So what happened is that it's a new type of relationship. And we need to learn how to deal with it, how to relate with it, okay? But it's something very deep. One of the reasons is most of the relationships, or better, all the relationships are based on giving and receiving. There's always an exchange, okay? What I give, what I receive. So, for example, what happens when I have a friend and suddenly the friend is not giving me what I think he should give and is not and asking me more than I think I should give? He becomes not anymore a friend. What happens when a family member to whom I am very well with starts to ask me things that I don't want to give? Or, we can see this very often, for example, when there is a conflict regarding money or many other things. Then conflicts arise. Okay? There are relationships where the giving and taking is related to pleasure, to the recognition of image, to position. There are so many things. But with the guru, the relationship we have with our guru is based on what? On giving and receiving and following the spiritual path. It's something that transcends the material aspects in which most of our relationships are based. Most of our relationships are based on material things. Not all, luckily, but very often. They're based on image, they're based on gaining material things, they're based on pleasures, and so on. That's why when these things lack, the relationship changes. Okay, it's clear, no? And the relationship with the guru, supposedly, and very often is like this, it goes beyond all of this. So, for example, one of the things that it's quite difficult for us very often to understand is that when I am in front of my guru, personally, I have no fear, and I should have no fear to be myself. Because the way how he loves me is not based on a judgment of what I do or what I don't do. And once, if I show a weak side of myself, won't change the way how he loves me or accepts me. This is very difficult for us to understand. Normally, we are based in the idea that, okay, I should not show this, I shouldn't say that, otherwise he would not like me anymore, he would be disappointed with me, and this and that. But the connection with the spiritual path, it transcends all of this. It is basically, it's something like, it's a way of loving each other that goes much beyond all of this. Okay? And it's not for nothing that Lama Tsongkhapa and all other great masters, they put so much emphasis on how to rely upon the guru. And the root of all realizations is not the physical person of the guru, it's relying correctly upon the guru. It's how I rely upon the guru, how I base this relationship. Okay? And one of the keys is that I base my relationship on what? On the Dharma. Who is the guru? The one that guides me to enlightenment. Like one quality that the guru doesn't need to have is to be nice to us. He doesn't need to be a nice person. He needs to guide me correctly to enlightenment. That's what he needs to do. Then, okay, if he's a nice person, is even better, but that's normally not the quality that I personally would go to look for. The quality that I go to look for is someone that can touch my mind, that can touch my heart, that can show me the path and can push me on the path to enlightenment. That's what we need to look for. But very often it's not something that we can choose conceptually. It's like falling in love without really knowing the reason sometimes. And this is something so beautiful. It's like, it's such a deep connection that it creates. And the guru becomes, in the sense, the connection with all the holy beings. It's like, if we make a modern metaphor, I can have learning the practices and knowing that philosophy is like having a built, very powerful, good computer. And I can know all the websites where I want to go, but if I don't have the right connection, like let's say I have this old connection that will go, like that we had before with the phone, like in between the 90s, or the beginning of internet, it was so slow. And then you want to watch a nice movie, and you have a beautiful screen, and you have that connection, how long would it take? Ages, no? So, similar to that, it's like the relationship with the Guru is like the connection we have with the sacred, with the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. The stronger is our connection, the faster we can go, the more we can receive. Okay? So this is a very, very important part of the practice. So, based on that, when we do the visualization, we visualize in front of us Guru Buddha. Guru Buddha is in the appearance of our Guru. And some people sometimes make little confusion saying, oh, but I have more than one Guru. Is that okay? Is that not okay? The more we are in the beginning of the path, the less Gurus we have, the better. The more we grow on the path, the more Gurus we have, the better. Why? Because when we are in the beginning, we don't know how to rely really correctly upon the Guru. So we leave it, it becomes a little bit more personal somehow, and at the same time, we may find contradictions between one master and another, and then we can create conflicts inside ourselves. The more we move along the path, the more we have a clear and pure relationship with the Guru, we can have many, many, many Gurus. Lama Tsongkhapa had more than 100 Gurus. Atisha had many, many Gurus. But then there is one, for example, Atisha, there was Lama Sirlimpa, Suvarnadipa, which was his main Guru. Had many, but that was the one, and went, every time that anybody said the name of any one of his Gurus, he would join his hands. But anytime the name was Lama Suvarnadipa was said, he would put the hands in the crown. And so one time one person asked him and said, but if all Gurus are of the same nature, why do you give more importance to this one? And he said, they're all of the same nature, but there is one Guru that touches your heart deeply. And this is the one that is your root Guru, the one that for me is the most important one, the one that I have the greatest gratitude towards. Okay? So, normally when we talk about choosing the Guru and so on, it's something that is no hurry at all. Based on the teachings of Buddha, we should wait 12 years of experience, which is not that long, really. If we really think, when we really think about taking refuge in the correct, deeper way, it takes time to be able to develop it. It's something that is not only for beginners. In the beginning, yes, we take refuge, that's wonderful and necessary, important, but as we move along with our path, it will become deeper and deeper, stronger and stronger. Okay? And it's something that we need to do with some stability, with some certainty of our own path. But at the same time, we don't need to keep looking forever. Once our heart is touched, once it is clear in our mind, then we can follow. No? But it's important for us to keep our own ability to judge and to look at things. To follow a Guru doesn't mean that we take away completely our own ability of judgment and so on. Because that's the idea that in the West very often people have. Oh, you follow a Guru means you lost completely your own ability of judgment. It's not like that. It's more like this. Let's say I have a sickness, whatever. I need to go to the dentist, okay? So, I do not understand much about teeth. So what I do? I go to the dentist. Or I have a problem in the kidney, in the liver, whatever, okay? I go to the doctor, I go to a specialist, a person that knows how to deal with that sickness. The fact that I go to a specialist and I ask his advices and I follow his advices, even if I don't understand fully why I need to do that. Why? Because I haven't studied all that he has studied. I don't have all the experiences that he has. and I follow his advices. The fact that I'm following all the advices of the doctor, does that mean that I am completely losing my own ability of judgment? No. It means that I chose one person that have more experience than me on a specific aspect, and then I have trust on him, and because of that I follow. That's to rely upon the Guru. The Guru is someone that should guide us on the spiritual path, and the minimum quality that our Guru should have is that he should have more qualities than us spiritually. That's the minimum. Then there are many other qualities that we should look for. The Guru should have morality, should have concentration, should have wisdom, should know well the teachings of Buddha, should be able to explain them clearly to us, should be able to touch our heart, should be able to explain about the correct view of reality and makes us understand it, should have compassion towards the disciples, should never give up on any disciple. There are many qualities that a Guru should have. Okay? There is one text which is talking about all of this called the 50 Verses of Guru Devotion. Very nice text, actually. And but the Guru is not the one to whom I'm going to ask if I do or if I don't do an investment on the stock market, or what color I paint my house. I can ask, but that's not his role. It's like I go to the doctor and I become a good friend of the doctor, and I go and say, I'm painting my house, which color would you prefer? Okay. Is that the patient-doctor relationship? No, maybe we became friends, and that's wonderful. Okay. The Guru-disciple relationship is based on what? On the path to enlightenment. On our own spiritual growth, our own spiritual path. Once we make this clear, then it makes so many other things clear. It's like Rinpoche, he used to say many times to people, Lama Ganshi used to say, first of all, I can be your friend. If you like, I can also be your Guru. It's two different things. But he saw that nowadays we miss friends. People in whom we can trust. So I see, for example, Rinpoche, first of all, for many people, I look, and for many people, he's not their gurus, even though we call Guru. For many people, he's a good friend in whom to trust. But why I say it's not a Guru, sorry if I'm a little bit direct. Why I say it's not their gurus, because they are not following with awareness and clarity a path to enlightenment. Not coming to ask for advices for their own spiritual practice. People are asking for daily advices for their life. When they are in difficulties, someone that can touch their head and can say, okay, I love you, don't worry, all will be fine. And then, okay, maybe you do like this, maybe you do like that, and giving good advices. That's a good friend. That's a virtuous friend. And that's wonderful, and it's all okay with that. Nothing wrong with it. Okay? But this is a relationship with a friend, and that's what Rinpoche said. He understood that, first of all, in the West, people needed friends. So he said, first of all, I am a friend in whom you can trust. Then, if you want to follow the path to enlightenment, I can be your Guru. Okay? The Guru doesn't need necessarily to be our friend. For example, I have some Gurus that I only receive formal teachings with them. I go there, I receive the teachings, I go. I never even ate together with them. I never sat to talk about other subject than the Dharma itself. So it's the different types of relationships. No? So it's important for us to make this clear. I think it's quite okay, no? It's quite clear in this way. So when we have Guru Buddha, it's a very important position because the Guru is someone to whom we open our heart, to whom we have this deep connection, to whom we fall in love with. And so it connects us to all the other holy beings. And the relation we have with the holy beings shouldn't be something cold and technical. It should be deeply emotional and strong. That's why the Guru is so important in this way. Okay? Another aspect important of that is that also, if we only had the image of Buddha, I could say, but that's only so long ago, conditions were different. That's impossible for me to do. When I have one or more people that are here with me, human beings that I can see, I can touch, and they are examples of what I want to become. That means it is possible. No? Like one time, one person in Brazil, he was talking to another of his friends about Rinpoche, and he was saying, oh, you know that person, and he was referring to one healer that is healing people by incorporating deities. And he was saying, what's the difference? That healer, he's healing people by incorporating deities, but when the deity is not there, he's just a very, very ordinary person. Then he was saying the Lama, in this case, was talking about Rinpoche. That's what he is, and that's the example that what we can become. It's the example of the qualities that we can develop. And this is something so precious. So another aspect of having the Guru is also bringing to our own level we can do. So it's important for us, to have the right balance in which, in one way, we should not put the Guru too high, in the sense, oh, he is a holy being, an emanation of the Buddha, and something so unreachable. The Guru is a human being, just as me, so I can also develop the same qualities. On the other side, we should be careful not to do the opposite, which is bring the Guru to our own levels and judge everything that we see based on what we are. Is this clear? Because that's our tendency, no? With everyone. And I have seen that so many times, and it's quite harmful, actually. Like, being very sincere with you. It's quite something very personal, but the only person up to today that I felt that I was really understood is Rinpoche. Like my motivation, the way how I think, the way of what I feel, and why I do things, and so on. Every time I tried to talk to someone and open myself really about some most aspects, my deeper aspects, people look to me like if I come from Mars or something like that. Like, or they say, no, that cannot be true. The only person with whom I really feel comfortable and I feel understood up to today has been Rinpoche. And it's so wonderful because it needs very few words. Don't need to say so many things. Okay? So, it's important for us at the same time to remember that the Guru is an example of the practice. Even if we take, for instance, Rinpoche, Lama Ganchen. He has so many qualities, but he didn't get these qualities out of nothing. Even if we look just to this life, how much effort Rinpoche put to study, to meditate, how many difficulties he had been through, how much effort he had put in his life. So much. And if we look to the history of all the great masters, no one reached anything out of nothing. No one reached enlightenment by the side of the pool having a nice drink and not putting any effort. So, in one way, the Guru is a person that is showing us the example that we can do it also. On the other way, we need to remember that it's a person with, hopefully, and that's if we did the right choice for sure, with a higher spiritual developments than ours, so we need to be careful how to judge and when to judge. This is one point that is important, no? Sometimes somehow joking but telling the truth. I like to say that sometimes people say to me, oh, but when you say people accept because you are the Lama, everybody like you because you are the Lama. The truth is, the Lama is wonderful. The Lama is nice as long as he say what you want to listen. As long as he acts in the way how you expect him to act. You know, that's our infantile mind somehow of judging and wanting the things to be the way how we want. In the moment that our Guru does something that is not exactly how we think he should do, or he says something that we don't like so much. I saw so many times people came crying to me, oh, Rinpoche told me this, how come he said this to me? He shouldn't say this, why is like this, why is like that? And then sometimes I talk to Rinpoche and I see that they understood something completely opposite of what Rinpoche was saying. So, one thing I just take the opportunity to say, one very good advice for our life is never say, that person said. We say, I understood. It makes a big difference. I understood this. I listened to this. That's what I listened. Is it what he said? I don't know. Okay? It's just one small point. But the point here is that the relationship with our guru is something very, very important. It's something very powerful. More than important, I would say the right word is something very powerful, because it really creates a deep connection with the sacred. It's not something far away from us. Okay? So that's why when we do the visualization, we visualize in the appearance as our guru. And when we have more than one guru, one of the teachings that I received is that from Dragon Rinpoche, he said we visualize the gurus like a sort of an hologram, which one face is changed into the face of the other. And then it can change into the face of Buddha, then it changes back into the face of one guru, then goes into the other. They are all like being of the same nature. And one of the concepts that there is what we call the guru, which all the gurus are emanations of the guru. To explain it a little bit better is something like that. Let's say I want to go from here and I want to leave from Holland and go traveling, I want to go to see the Mount Everest. Okay? Or better, I want to go to Kailash. Everest, I really don't care much to go to see the Everest. The Kailash, I really want to go to see the Kailash, simply because I have a preconcept that the Kailash is better. I never know. But anyhow. But let's say I want to go to see the Kailash, which is said to be a very holy place. But to go there, I need to prepare myself, because I would need to walk many thousands of kilometers. I need to prepare myself to how I'm going to eat, how I get the visas, which language I need to speak, I'm talking about going from Holland to Kailash by foot, okay? So it's quite a long journey. There are many things I need. So I'm going to go to one person that is going to guide me on how to walk in a way that I don't get too tired and how to be fit physically. I'm going to go to another person that's going to teach me how I'm going to prepare my own food in a way that is good. Another person is going to help me on preparing the visas and everything that I need on the way, and so on. And all these people together are my guide. They guide me to get where I want. Each one giving an important different part. Similar to that, on my path to enlightenment, I have one guide teaching me concentration, another spiritual guide teaching me compassion, another spiritual guide showing me the importance of Dharma and showing me renunciation. And like this, we have different spiritual guides. Okay? And like all of them together, what they are our guide to enlightenment. So the guru is the guide to enlightenment. The word guru, it has many meanings. One of the literal, is it clear, this aspect of being one guide to many of them, finally they are part of the same guidance to enlightenment. The word guru, it means heavy, literally. Something heavy, okay? Why it is heavy? Because from all the relationships that we have in life, it's the heaviest of all. Heavy in the sense of important. Okay? In Tibetan, it's called Lama. Lama is actually the word guru, the translation from Sanskrit to Tibetan. La means high, like when you have the top of a mountain, the highest point of a mountain is called La. Ma means no, negation, which means that there is no above. But it's not talking about the person, that there is no one above him, how special he is. It's talking about the relationship. From all the relationships of our life, family, friends, business, work, and so on, the spiritual relationship with our guru is the highest of all. Why? Because the relationship that transcends this life, that guides us on what transcends this life. That's why it's the heaviest, the most important, the highest. It's not that the person is the highest person of all. is the relationship, is the highest relationship of all the others that we can have. Okay? So this is one of the meanings of Lama. On the other mean, the word Lama in Tibetan can also be read as La means high, Ma means mother. So it's the one nourishing us, caring for us in the highest way and the deepest way. Okay? So there are many different meaning of this word, but as we say, it means something that it's so important for us, and it's something that many of us, I think, we do experience in our lives. And many of us, we learn how to experience this in a non-conceptual way. We simply feel, and then slowly, slowly, we start to understand it. No? I saw some people complaining one time to their son on a situation, and then this guy was there with his father and mother, and suddenly he opened the wallet, and in the wallet there was a picture of his guru, and no picture of his children. And then his father was saying, "Oh, what are you? What type of father are you? You know, you don't have even pictures of your children. You like more your guru than your children. What is this and that?" And how can you explain? It's not that I don't like my children. I love them so much, but it's a total different way of relationship. It's like, since I fell in love with Rinpoche when I was very young, you know, the main questions of my life, I really never cared to ask my parents. Not because I don't respect them, not because I don't love them or anything like that. Because I have someone that is my real reference of guidance. And I have very good parents, wonderful parents. So it's a relationship that it's very important. Inside the practice of self-healing, the deepest, the strongest is our guru-disciple relationship. The better we rely upon the guru, the stronger the practice becomes. The deeper the practice becomes. Okay? So, at this point of the practice, when we generate the merit field, in the Kundu Norbuluk, this system of that combines all jewels, we visualize in the form of the guru. It's in the appearance of our guru, and in the essence, in nature, it's inseparable of all Buddhas, of all holy beings, that we say. In appearance, it's as our guru. In essence, it's our guru. In nature, it's our guru, and all holy beings at the same time. Okay? So how to visualize our guru? There are many ways how we can do. There are some ways which are described. For example, we visualize our guru sitting on a beautiful throne with a lotus flower, a sun, and a moon cushion. Because this represents, the lotus flower is showing renunciation, the sun and the moon cushion is showing method and wisdom, bodhicitta and correct view of reality. There are many different ways of this representation. The throne is representing overcoming fear. It's showing the qualities that we have developed. So, in this way, when we visualize the guru, it's talking about the qualities of the guru. In this, just in between, when we talk about, for example, when teaching the Dharma, why, for example, I sit in a throne in this moment, it's not to talk about to show the qualities of the one that is teaching, but it's to show the qualities of the Dharma that is being taught. This is very important for us to understand also. And that's why when it's given the teachings of Dharma, we give value, we give importance, we do prostrations, we give respect, not to the person himself, but to what is being done there, to what we are receiving, to the actual Dharma. And in consequence, also to the person that is giving in that moment, because it's representing that. But for example, anytime I need to give teachings, I always do prostrations before. And whenever I go into the throne, normally I snap the finger, and remember, life is impermanent. When we snap the finger, it's a symbol of impermanence, which means I will die soon, even if I have a long life. What does that mean before going up to the throne? When I die, it doesn't matter what title I have, how many people say I am a Buddha. I know what I am. I need to deal with my own defilements. I need to deal with my own qualities, with my own karma. So, do not get lost. When we go to talk on a throne, why we do this is to say to ourselves, do not get lost in feeling special, because people respect you or anything like that. remember to be sincere in your Dharma practice, to be humble in it. That's something that is very important. Okay? So when we have the throne, very sincerely, I don't feel comfortable sitting in thrones. And because I saw how dangerous it is. When I was 12, when there was the ceremony of enthronement in India, when we do like the recognition. So what is done in that ceremony, actually I found a video of it not so long ago, quite nice. But what has happened is that, in this case, a little boy, in my case I was 12, they put me sitting on the high throne. It was very uncomfortable because I was in the highest throne, and there was like all the ex-abbots and the masters of the monastery sitting in all the thrones, whereby Rinpoche was sitting in the lower throne. And I was there all so uncomfortable, but what's the point? Oh, we are giving you responsibility. That's the meaning of it somehow. No? And then at the same time, one day we were there, and after a few days of ceremonies with Rinpoche, I did enthronement in 3 monasteries. Normally it's done in 1, I did it in 3. It was Sera, Tashilumpo, and Kailashpura, which was another monastery there, a small monastery there. And then also in the department inside the monastery. And one day we were in the small department, which is called Kamsen, and there was time for dinner. And during this past week, I was participating in many ceremonies, and I had my place to sit inside the temple, the Gompa, which was one of the high thrones there. So I was sitting normally in this throne, and then I came to have dinner, and the dinner was inside the Gompa. So I came for dinner, and I arrived, and I say, where do I sit? And I say, oh, this is my place. So I sat on the throne first. And then people sitting around, nobody said anything. Then suddenly I looked to myself, and I said, what am I doing? This is not a ceremony. I'm not giving teachings. I'm not doing anything like that. Why do I need to sit in the throne? What is there so special in me that I need to be recognized? Because I saw, sometimes before the problem comes, you start already to have the smell. No? So at that point, I start to feel the smell of attachment to the image and the important position and so on. So I said, oh, that's too dangerous. So that time, luckily, I went down. I sit in the floor with other people. I say, what are you doing? No, this is the best. I am more happy like this. And I've always been putting effort always to remember this all the time, because it's very easy for us to get lost within it. And this is something very, very important for us to remember. What does the throne mean? It means the importance of the teachings, the importance of the Dharma. And sure, my guru is the one that shows me the path, and so I have the same level of respect for him also in all ways. But when we have the throne, it's showing qualities. In this case specifically, it's showing the qualities of the Dharma, which is very important for us, because if we do not know how to value and respect the Dharma, we will not put it into practice. Okay? This is just to make some points clear. So when we visualize in front of us Guru Buddha is seated on a beautiful throne with which is symbolizing his qualities, the qualities of the Dharma, the qualities that he has realized as being inseparable of all Buddhas. He has a lotus flower symbolizing renunciation, a sun and a moon cushion symbolizing relative and absolute bodhicitta, which means love and compassion and wisdom. Guru Buddha is seated cross-legged, and the way how actually he's dressed and so on, it depends mostly what fits most to our mind. We can imagine Guru Buddha dressed in the traditional monastic robes, with holding Vajra and bell, for example. Like this is one very traditional position. No? Or like this also with the mudra of teaching the Dharma. Okay? But one time talking to Rinpoche, he said he said, I prefer also to visualize as the most spontaneous way that comes the memory of my own Guru. It doesn't need to be necessarily with all the implements and with the yellow hat and so on. It is like, how do I see my Guru? How does he appear to me? That's how I visualize. Okay? The symbols symbolize what? Dorje bell symbolizes method and wisdom. That's why I visualize with this. This mudra symbolizes teaching the Dharma, so it's giving the Dharma to me. So there are many meanings of the very different position and so on, how we can visualize. But the important thing here now is that we visualize Guru Buddha, and he's in the appearance as it most better suits my mind. Okay? Then we visualize Guru Buddha. One important aspect is we visualize that Guru Buddha is smiling at us. One of my gurus, his name was Dragon Rinpoche, he used to say, oh, you visualize your guru smiling because he's happy that finally you are doing something positive as you sit down to meditate, no? But actually the smile symbolizes the love and kindness. So we visualize that our guru is smiling at us, and we can visualize with the yellow hat symbolizing pure morality and correct view of reality. And then from the heart, then we can also visualize, if we want to go, we can stop here, or we can go a little bit further with the visualization, and we visualize in the heart of Guru Buddha, we visualize Buddha Shakyamuni in his heart. And in the heart of Buddha Shakyamuni, we can also visualize Buddha Vajradhara. And in the heart of Buddha Vajradhara, we can visualize the 6-syllable Hum. Okay? Otherwise, we can simply visualize the 6-syllable Hum in the heart of the Guru. At the crown, the white Om. At the throat, the red A. At the heart, the blue Hum. At the navel, the yellow Cham. And the sacred chakra, the green Ri. As we are doing the practice of self-healing, in the context of self-healing, we visualize Guru Buddha, and in the 5 chakras, we visualize the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. So we visualize Guru Buddha. There is even one painting that Duccio from Italy did of Lama Ganchen holding a Dhammaru with the bone ornaments and with the 5 Dhyani Buddhas in the 5 chakras. This is out of Rinpoche's kindness that he's showing us what we are supposed to visualize, how to visualize the Guru, basically. Okay? So in this way, Lama Ganchen in this painting is dressed as a Mahasiddha. All the ornaments symbolizes the realization of the 6 perfections. So the perfection of generosity, morality, patience, effort, concentration, and wisdom. And then we visualize Guru Buddha, and we concentrate that Guru Buddha has a perfect central channel balanced, and the 5 chakras are also balanced, and in each one of his chakras there is one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. So we have white Vairochana, red Amitabha, blue Akshobhya, yellow Ranasambhava, and green Amoghasiddhi in the 5 chakras of Guru Buddha. Okay? So this is the visualization that we do of the merit field. Once we did the visualization, at this point, we imagine that from the heart of Guru Buddha, in front of us, from the syllable Hum at his heart, light emanates, and this light is like one hook. Okay? It's said a hook-like light. It doesn't need to have the shape of a hook. For me, I like to imagine it more like, okay, a light that is more like a magnet, bringing to it. And this light goes to all the Buddhas, to all the holy beings. From the heart of Guru Buddha, it emanates like a sort of a very beautiful explosion that goes in the light of light that goes in the 10 directions. And as it goes through the 10 directions, it goes everywhere to all holy beings, and it touches the heart of every holy being. Requesting them is like a message that they receive, requesting them to come here. They accept our requests, and then an emanation of every Buddha come here. So imagine like this rain of Buddhas and holy beings and Dakas, Dakinis, protectors, all forms of holy beings, like a rain absorbing into Guru Buddha in front of us. It's like when it is snowing on the sea. Because when it is snowing on the sea or on a lake, what happens? First of all, the water absorbs every part of snow. And secondly, it's absorbing very gently, no? In a very nice way, not like with making big noise. No? So similar to that, it's like if all these different Buddhas and holy beings of all sizes, some of them are small as atoms, others are big as mountains, and they all come and they absorb in Guru Buddha. Okay? From all directions. And as they absorb in Guru Buddha, then we see the manifestation of Guru Buddha as before, and he's one and inseparable with all the holy beings. And this is the part of the practice where we recite Malu semche kungi goingurchi dude pungche mize jomzela ngona malu yanda gengurpe chomden korche nedir shek su sol. And traditionally also at this point we play the bell. No? We can or play the bell, or we can play also the singing bowl. Okay? Why? Because originally in India, when you invite someone, you play music. It's like, for example, in the ancient times in Europe also, no? When the king was arriving. Was he arriving in silence, or there was a lot of music and sound before him? You need to, how to say, announce that he's coming. No? Similar to that, in Tibet was the same. In India also. So when we invite Guru Buddha, we play a sound. Or we play the bell also. And as we play the sound of the bell, we imagine, we visualize all these holy beings coming and absorbing in Guru Buddha in front of us. Okay? The visualization of Guru Buddha in front of us is what we call the commitment being. Tantric Sempa in Tibetan. Okay? Samaya Sattva in Sanskrit. The wisdom beings that come, all the Buddhas, the emanations that absorb, is called the Jnana Sattva, or Yeshe Sempa, or wisdom being, that absorb into the commitment being, and they become inseparable and non-dual. Okay? So this is the moment when we are normally, when we play the bell. Normally when we play the bell, we put the dorje like this in the front, which symbolizes holding an incense. At this point, if we like to light an incense, is also okay, because traditionally when inviting someone, they would go in front with incense also. So it's like making the path clear, so inviting the gurus, all the Buddhas to come to this place. So we play the bell. And we imagine all the holy beings absorbing into Guru Buddha in front of us, and the commitment beings, and the becoming inseparable with all the wisdom beings. Okay? So from this point on, our visualization is not anymore just a visualization. It's the actual wisdom beings in front of us. Okay? So once we have done that, the next part is, okay, now Guru Buddha is there, so what do? We have all these holy beings in front of us. First we need to do what are called the 7 limb prayers. The 7 limb prayers are 7 practices that we need to do daily, according to Buddha's teachings, that were put into a prayer also. 7 branches, 7 parts that we need to do. These things is something that we need to do daily. Which are, first of all, we do prostrations. To do prostrations, it means to pay respect. And this is something very, very important. Because when we pay respect, it is, first of all, an antidote against our pride and arrogance, which is one thing. The more we are humble, the more we can learn and receive. Now, there is this beautiful saying that it goes like, in the high hill of arrogance, the water of the teachings do not remain, and the flowers of realization do not grow. In the valley of humility, the water of the teachings remain, and the flowers of realizations can grow. So, to have our humility is so important. To be humble, it means not to compare ourselves with others. When we start comparing ourselves with others, then it's going to be difficult. Okay, then we already start with arrogance, because normally whoever feels inferior to someone feels superior to someone else, and vice versa. Okay, so we do prostrations as a way of paying respect, of cultivating our faith, cultivating our respect, cultivating our gratitude. Okay, I don't go now too long on this subject, but it's a very important part. If we like, we can stand up and do full prostrations, or we just joint our hands, as we say, Gosung Grupe Gone Chaltselo, which means I prostrate with body, speech, and mind. So prostration of body is paying respect physically. Prostration of speech is praising the qualities verbally. Prostration of mind is remembering the qualities of Guru Buddha through our mind. Okay? So we pay respect. And I really believe that learning how to pay respect physically, for me at least, is something that very very important and necessary. Because the more, when we stop paying respect externally, because we say, oh, these are just formalities we don't need, and so on, it influences also our mind. I tell by my own experiences with Rinpoche and so on, it's like this. So after some time, okay, Rinpoche doesn't care, you do prostration, don't do prostrations, if you stand up when he's coming in or not, and so on. But I care. It's important for me, not for him. Because I have seen that when I was a small kid, I was extremely traditional with things. I don't know why, who taught me, but that's how I was. Like, even some of my teachers used to make some fun of me in the monastery because when there was a phone call from Rinpoche, I would stand up and be like this in the phone. I could not just stand up like that and talk or sit. I was not able. And they would say, oh, he's not in front of you. Come on, you're in the phone. They would make some fun. They liked it, but they would make some fun of me. And which was nice, was no problem. But the point was that one time I remember I was in Italy. One of the first times I went to Italy from the monastery. And then I was in Rinpoche room. There were many people there, and there was no place to sit, really. So Rinpoche said to me, okay, you sit in my bed. And I said, no, that's not possible. I always had this feeling that sitting in the same level, sitting in the same place was lack of respect. This is like in the 50 verses of Guru Devotion is described also in this way. And I was saying, no, Rinpoche, please, I don't want that. He said, no, sit. He said, no. Then he was quite straightforward. He said, no, you come, you sit here. Okay, then I do. It's a greater lack of respect not to do what he's telling than sitting there, no? I said, okay. I sat there, and I was very uncomfortable. I didn't feel comfortable being there. Not that it was not nice, but it was not my place. I didn't feel that I was being respecting in the right way. So the next day, I arrive in the room, same situation. And then I would just say, sit here right away. I just went there, I sat there. Not so much difficulty as the day before. Then 1-2 days later, I arrived again. There was place for me to sit in the floor. Where I sat? On the bed. And then I saw that. And I was looking at myself and saying, what am I doing? But we are strange also, so we are proud, no? So I didn't go down off the bed right away and sat on the floor. I found some excuse, I need to go somewhere. Then I came back and I sat on the floor. No? But the main point that I want to bring is that it's like it takes once, 2 times. What really made me afraid that time was to see how 1 time, 2 times the respect inside was changing. Not deeply, but slowly. 1 thing, 2 things. So for example, there are some very basic things which for me personally are important for myself. When my guru comes, I stand up. I do not give my back. I listen before I speak. Anything that I say yes, for example. Anything that Rinpoche tells me, the first answer is yes, Rinpoche. Then I can say, but it's difficult in this way, it's difficult in that way, there is this condition, that condition. Then you say, okay, you do anyhow, then I do. Because my experience is that it always worked. So better to do. But the point that I want to say is that external respect, even though if it's only external, then it's useless. Then it's faking. It's not necessarily. But our external behavior influences our mind. For example, in the 50 verses of Guru Devotion, it says, do not cross your arms in front of your Guru. Why? When we cross our arms, energetically, what we are doing? Opening or closing? We are closing ourselves. And how do we want to be in front of the Guru? Open or close? Open, so do not cross the arms, for example. Okay. There's other things. When you are in front, do not lean on the wall. Because it means like be in the presence. Stand up. Why we need to stand up? Because when a person comes and we stand up, it means we acknowledge the presence of that person as being important. If a person comes and we don't stand up, it means we do not give importance to the presence. Like if we are in our job and suddenly the boss of the company, the owner, comes into the room, we stay in the room just looking at our messages, or we stand up. I don't know, I don't work in a company, but I suppose you stand up. I suppose there is some change in behavior there. You need at least to acknowledge his presence, no? So, with the Guru means it's important for me, not for him. That's why I need to acknowledge his presence. That's why I stand up. Sometimes I live in with Rinpoche, so sometimes it happens that Rinpoche comes in, I'm about to stand up, he puts the hand and says, sit. Okay. But I acknowledge his presence. That's the important thing. So otherwise we start taking it for granted. And then we have problem, not him. So making prostrations, it's one of the ways that is important to cultivate our own faith, our own respect, our own gratitude is one of the most important aspects. Okay? So we do prostrations. Then after that, second point we do is that we make offerings. Making offerings have the same value also of cultivating faith, respect, gratitude. Sometimes people ask me, when I need to make an offering, what's the right amount that I should offer? If I offer something material, or if I offer my time, if I offer my help, what's the right amount that I can offer, that I should offer? The right amount to offer, I tell you what I always did in my life. The right amount to offer is the amount that is not too much nor too less. And this depends for everyone. For one person, 10 is too much. For other person, 10 is too less. So for example, all the times I am very lucky that all the teachings I ever received, I never paid for any teaching. But I never received any teaching without making an offering. Always. So if I went, for example, in Tibet, I stayed there 1 month. By the beginning, when I arrive and I request the teachings, I make an offering. By the end, when I go away, I make an offering to thank. Or in between, when one teaching is finished and another one will start, I do the same again. And how much do I offer? Normally, I offer the amount that, for me, it's possible to offer. But it's not too less. It's not something that, it has some importance. It's something that, okay, it has some weight on me, but it's a weight that I can carry happily. This is personally how I do, okay? So, the same thing is like, sure, we can dedicate our time, we can dedicate our body, we can dedicate our energy, we can dedicate so much. But we always need to keep it in the right balance, respecting our own limitations. So how much I can do, how much I should do, it depends on every one of us, on the conditions we have, physically, mentally, economically, and so on. But to offer is very important, to have the attitude of offering. And by offering, we accumulate merits. We generate the positive energy ourselves. Okay? So, the second of the 7 limb prayers is making offerings. Normally, when we talk about making offerings, we have external offerings, internal offerings, secret offerings, offerings of voidness, and offerings of realizations. Okay? So very briefly, without going into deep details about this, who wants to have more details, the teachings I gave some weeks ago, maybe 1 month, something ago in Albanian about Guru Puja, I went into details about all of them, and they're all recorded. Everybody can have access to them. Okay? So external offerings are objects of the 5 senses. So we offer light, fruit, food, everything that is of pleasure of the senses. By making such offerings, we are also accumulating the causes to be able to experience ourselves such pleasures in the future. Okay? So we offer. And together with this, the offering of realization comes together because we visualize in the form of external offerings also our realizations, as I said before. Okay? So we offer our love, compassion, wisdom, all the realizations that we already have, and the ones that we will still develop, we also see them in the form of offerings. Then after that, we have the internal offerings. The internal offerings is basically where we offer our body and mind, transformed into a pure state. Okay? So we transform our body and our mind into a pure state, and then we offer it. I don't go into details, otherwise it would take too long now if I start explaining it in more detail. But that's what is called the inner offering. Okay? Then after that, and by making the inner offering and also the outer offerings, we always imagine that Guru Buddha experiences a new sensation of great bliss that realizes emptiness all the time. So, and then we have the secret offering. The secret offering is when we offer the deepest experience of great bliss and emptiness, a non-conceptual state of pleasure and wisdom. So, there are many ways how this can be represented, but most of the times it's also called secret because it is represented by, let's say, the experience that can get the most nearby, even though still very far away of such experience that we want to offer, which is the sexual union. The pleasure of sexual union, it's a non-conceptual experience that is of pleasure that by itself is nothing special. But in our very mundane way, that's why, remember in the beginning I said in Tantra everything is possible to use. So Buddha even used these symbols in order to help us to understand that in our mundane way is maybe one of the greatest pleasures that a person can experience in a non-conceptual way, but still it's very, very far away from what we mean by the union of great bliss and emptiness. It's something very far away, but sometimes it's used, this representation. But what we offer is the inner experience of the union of great bliss and emptiness. That's what we are offering in the so-called inner offering. Okay? And sometimes this the secret offering, it is represented by the sexual union because that's what, in our mundane way, limited way, can get the most near to it, even though still very far. So it's represented by that. That's not what we are offering. Okay? So when we talk about the secret offering and when we talk about the inner offering, are not literal offering. When we read the text, like in the Guru Puja, the offering is not literal. It's a metaphor, it's a symbol. But what it really means, the inner offerings, is the body and the mind transformed in a pure state, and the secret offerings means offering the union of great bliss and emptiness, this deep state of joy that realizes the true nature of phenomenon. Then after we have the offerings of voidness, which means the realization of emptiness. We offer the realization of the true nature of reality. Okay? This is another type of offering. So this is normally the types of offerings that are there. Okay? So the most common one is that we make external offerings. That's the most easy. Then there is the internal offerings. It's a little bit more deep. The secret offerings is more deep, and the offering of voidness is still more deep. Okay? But more difficult to make such offerings. But at the same time, it is the amount of merit that we accumulate is greater according to each one of these types of offerings. Okay? So this is the moment of making offerings. So what we do is we visualize that from our heart, many offering deities emanate, and they bring all the offerings to Guru Buddha in front of us. Flowers, food, in the most pleasurable way, a beautiful music playing. It's just like a wonderful sensation, a wonderful environment is created. And then the deities bring the offering. As Guru Buddha received the offering, he experienced a sensation of great bliss and emptiness. And then the offering deities come and reabsorb back into our heart. One important thing is that we always talk about great bliss and emptiness. One of the reasons for that is that bliss by itself is nothing special. Because most in our normal mundane way, we see pleasure, we see bliss as a final goal. Okay? And when we relate to pleasure, when we relate to bliss as a final goal, what happens? We just become more and more attached to it. And we become more and more trapped inside samsara. Instead, when we talk about the union of great bliss and emptiness, bliss is an inner state of a non-conceptual, deeper state of consciousness. And we use this as a method, as a mean, not as a final goal, as a mean to realize the true nature of reality in a non-conceptual, deep level of consciousness. That's why through the offerings of flowers, Guru Buddha experienced bliss, and with this bliss realized the true nature of reality. So it's always this union. It's always the bliss is not just by itself there. It has a function. It has an utility, which is what? To realize the true nature of phenomenon, which is to realize, to develop wisdom. But not in a conceptual level, in a deeper level, which is the level of this bliss. Okay? So we make by this we make offerings, and then after having made offerings, we concentrate that Guru Buddha is extremely satisfied and happy and experience this sensation of great bliss and emptiness. And then we are also happy by that. It's like we make an offering, the other person likes it, so we are happy also by it. Then the offering date is reabsorbed back into our heart. The third part of the 7 limb prayers is called openly admitting our mistakes. It's a part of purification. It's the part where we will, in front of Guru Buddha, in other words, we will say, oh, look what I have done. I'm so sorry. Not so sorry to you. I have nothing wrong to you. We are not asking for forgiveness. Huh? At no point we are asking for forgiveness. Because if we ask for forgiveness to Buddha, Buddha will look at it and say, why do I need to forgive you? I was never angry with you. It never happened. We're not asking for forgiveness. We are asking Guru Buddha to be our own testimony. In front of our witness. To be our witness in which we say, okay, in front of you, Guru Buddha, I acknowledge I have done a mistake. Simple as that. I don't need to feel guilty for it. I don't need to blame myself for anything. I'm simply acknowledging myself that I did mistakes. Now, how often do we do stupid things in life? Sometimes. It may happen. Right? Like, sometimes it may happen that we speak in a way that is not nice, out of jealousy, out of envy, out of attachment, out of anger. Sometimes out of anger we use violent expressions. We may use violence physically. We may have violent thoughts. We may be lying. We may be stealing. We may be doing all sorts of actions that are not positive. Okay? Most of the negative actions are those that are done with anger, unlimited attachment, jealousy, envy, aversion, fear, miserliness, arrogance. Okay? These are most of the negative actions. So sometimes it happens. One time one of my teachers said, how do you know how many negative actions you did in the past? He said, take the last week and multiply it for the past. Take the last week or the last month that you can remember and just multiply it for all your previous lives, no? Because we cannot remember even what we had for lunch yesterday sometimes, no? Then how can we remember our motivation and the reason why we did things? And very often we are not even aware of it, okay? But the first thing that we need to do in order to purify a karma is to be aware that we did a mistake. Is to say, I was wrong. Why? Because I am ignorant. And I thought I was doing the best for myself, and sometimes even for others. And what happened? I did something wrong. Some time ago, a person came to ask me for advice, asking that about one other person of her family that's saying, okay, this person acts in a very violent way, but really he thinks that he's doing the best. So the question was, what's the karma of such person? Because it's creating a lot of suffering, But somehow, as a person with mental disease also, is thinking that he's doing the best, but is acting in a way that is generating a lot of suffering. Is it a negative karma or not? If he's acting with anger, yes. And this is the case. So, but there is a saying in Tibetan, it's like, when the wise makes a mistake, it's a big mistake. When the fool makes a mistake, it's a small mistake. When you know that that's wrong and you do it, then that's much worse. Also karmically speaking. Okay? So, what happened is basically we need to acknowledge our own mistakes and say, I did something wrong. I knew it, I didn't know it, but still, I need to be aware I did something wrong. And there is nothing so beautiful. There are many beautiful things in life, but one of the most beautiful things is to openly admit our mistakes. For me, it's really beautiful. When I see someone that can really openly admit one's own mistakes, not because he's trying to get the consensus of someone, not because I want to get the kindness of someone and say, oh no, don't worry, everything is fine. Simply, I openly admit my mistakes. Yes, I did a mistake. I recognize it as such. It's so important. Very often we see the opposite, no? The difficulty to admit one's own mistake. When we do a mistake, very often we are blaming someone else for the mistake. Okay, yes, it was my mistake, but if that person hadn't done this, I would not have done that, and like this we go on and on. We put ourselves as a victim. I don't care who was the one that started the whole thing. Did you do that or not? Yes. Was it good or was it bad? It was bad. So here it is. That's enough. Just acknowledge that you did a mistake. That's all. I remember one time I was talking to a friend, and this friend parked the car in the wrong place. And it's a sort of a wrong place in the center. And then parked the car there, and then the person said to me, oh, I'm sorry, I parked the car, and then I made a joke about it, something, and the person said, oh, yes, I'm sorry that I parked the car in the wrong place. Yes. I know, I saw that you parked the car in the wrong place. Okay, good that you acknowledge that it was a mistake. Oh, yes, but you know, I was in a hurry. I said, I don't want to know why. It doesn't matter why you did it. The important thing is that you acknowledge that it was a mistake and you make a commitment not to repeat it again. That's all. Friends as before. Friends as always. You don't need to explain me why you did it. Just acknowledge, I did a mistake and I don't want to repeat it again. That's all we need to do. Simple. Do we do mistakes? Every day. I do mistakes every day. Sure. Some of them I am aware afterwards. Some of them I am aware before, during. And some of them I am not aware at all. That's called ignorance. Okay? And that's okay. We're not obliged to be a Buddha right away. Like sometimes people come and they say, oh, but if I knew, I would have done differently. Sure. Then it would be really serious if you knew it and you would do it differently, no? You would still do the same. But the point is that, okay, if I knew I would do different, yes, but did you know at the time? No. So relax about it. Sometimes we feel guilty because now I understand that I did something wrong, and at the time I couldn't understand that it was wrong. If I knew at the time that it was wrong, I would not have done it. Come on. Take away the if. I didn't know. That's why I did it. Finished. I'm sorry. I hope not to repeat again. I make the commitment not to repeat again. That's all. And don't need to feel guilty. It's like when a small child makes a mistake. And let's say there is a small child that makes a mistake, and the child comes to us saying, oh, I did a mistake. I am so sorry for the mistake that I did. Oh, I see that it was something wrong. And then we go to the child and we say, oh, come here, it's okay, no problem, don't worry, come here, take a candy, everything is fine. Okay, that it was not that bad. What we are doing? We are saying to the child, you did a big job of actually, the child made a big effort to recognize what's wrong, and what we say, okay, there's nothing. Your acknowledgement has no value. The other extreme is the child comes saying they made a mistake, and then we say, yes, it was a mistake, come here, I need to punish you. So the next time that I do a mistake and I acknowledge it, what I do, I don't say anything. From my point of view, what we need to do, we need to take the child and say, okay, yes, you did a mistake, but it's fine. We'll do the best not to repeat it again, and we need to care for the child. The same we need to do with ourselves. When we do a mistake, as we do mistakes, we need to embrace ourselves. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to say, okay, I did a mistake, but I will have the strength not to repeat it again, and everything is fine. I don't need to blame myself. Why I did a mistake? Because I am ignorant and I didn't understand. I didn't have the right mental, emotional attitude, whatever.
What to do with the mistakes you do often, and you know you make them, but so you're conscious you make them, but you still make them. It's more difficult to...
No, the mistakes that we know it's a mistake, but we are, how to say, conditioned into it. Somehow we have a bad habit. The habits is one of the most difficult things to change. You know? In Tibetan it's called, what's the name? I forgot the name. Anyhow, there is a special name for it. Anyhow, the point is that when we have habits, they're not coming from intellectual understanding. So when intellectually I understand that something is wrong, but I still do it, it means this understanding has not got deep yet. It's not something that is direct in my experience. Okay? So if I need to change it, I need to remember me that it's not enough in just to know. I need gradually to bring this understanding into experience. I need to experience that it's better to do differently. Otherwise, I know that it's harmful for me, but I like the taste. What I do, I continue to eat it. In the moment that I experience that it's good for me not to eat it, then I can follow that experience. So it's also important for us not to follow only understanding, but experience also. Okay? But in the moment that we daily openly admit our mistakes, it also helps us to direct our mind on what we need to do or not. Because if we just do that once in a month, it's not enough. If every day I look at myself and I say, what have I done today? Oh, I answered to that person in this way. I did this, I did that. Oh, this is not good. I should not repeat it again. So we visualize Guru Buddha. We openly admit our mistakes. All the mistakes we have done with body, speech, and mind. All the actions we did out of anger, jealousy, pride, miserliness, and so on, we openly admit them. And actually, the more we go along the path, the more we develop spiritually, the more we will recognize subtle mistakes. This is very common. Okay? So, no need to feel guilty. No need to be a victim. Just openly admit our own mistakes and said, yes, I will not repeat them again. So Guru Buddha, please bless me, so I may have the strength and the wisdom not to repeat such actions again. We request the blessings for that. Okay? So with this, we do the part of purification, and we can visualize that from Guru Buddha, it's coming light and nectar to our crown, from his heart, white light and nectar, filling our body and purifying any negativity. So that like wrong actions we did, once we openly admit them, we visualize this flow of nectar that comes and eliminates the negativities from us. Okay? So this is making quite short, this part. And once we have done the purification, we go to the next step, which is called rejoicing. So at this point, we rejoice of the virtuous actions, which is one of the important ways of accumulating merit. When we rejoice, is a way through which we generate a lot of positive energy, actually. It's not easy. Most of us, because we are not used to. For example, when we see someone that does something positive, very often, what is the reaction that we see? Comparing ourselves. Oh, he's doing that. Why? Oh, because he has the time to do. If I had received such education, I would do better. Like, I remember a few times it happened that I went to talk to some people and I said, just to rejoice, oh, you know how nice that that person is doing this retreat? And I got the answer, sure, he doesn't need to work. If I didn't need to work, oh, I would do even a better retreat. Maybe not saying with these words, but more or less meaning that, no? But the point is that I am not asking you what you would do. I am talking about that person. I'm just saying, look how nice that this person is doing a beautiful retreat. Let's be happy about it. Simple as that. But I don't know, with some people I don't talk about anymore about good things of others, because instead of rejoicing, it finally generates more negative karma because the person is comparing and criticizing and here and there. So not all of us are ready to rejoice. It's not so simple, really. Because the more we are comparing ourselves with others, the less we are able to rejoice. Like, one time I even was listening to a person which was comparing himself with Lama Tsongkhapa and not able to rejoice. Like, oh yes, Lama Tsongkhapa, sure, he did all these great things. Yes, but because look at the conditions in which he had. I don't have these conditions. If at the time, if I received all the same conditions, I would also do the same way. We are not talking about you. We are talking about Lama Tsongkhapa. Let's rejoice about great deeds he did. It's like another thing that is similar to this, but is different, but is similar. Sure, everything that is similar is different by definition, but but what happened is that it happens sometimes that normally people that are not able to rejoice are also not able to see the suffering of others without comparing oneself. It's like, some examples come to my mind, but I don't need to bring them to you right now, because maybe it's a bit personal of other people, but it's situations in which someone is not well and the other person will come and say, oh, but what have I done? And sometimes I go and say, do you think you are always in the middle of the world? Do you think it's only because of you that a person is sad? Maybe it has nothing to do with you. But it's always seeing the other through oneself. Okay, if the other is sad, it's because of me. If the other is not happy, why you are not happy enough? Because I'm doing everything and you are not happy. It's like when we are always comparing ourselves with others and always looking at others through ourselves, it becomes very difficult to rejoice, really. And very difficult also even just to see the suffering of others. It's like comparing also means, oh, why you are suffering? You shouldn't suffer. I would not suffer in such situation. But you are you, I am I. No, just have this ability to see the other person without always needing to compare oneself. So one of the keys to be able to rejoice is stop comparing ourselves with others. Something very powerful, actually. And it's said in the teachings that rejoicing is the best way to accumulate merits, especially for lazy people. Because it is said that when I rejoice on the merits of someone, I get at least half of the merits of that person. Not that I get away from him, no, but I also generate the same amount of merits. Okay? So imagine you can stay your whole day taking sun, by the pool, doing nothing, and you just remember about the good deeds of wonderful beings, and then, oh, how wonderful that you did this, how wonderful that you did that, I am so happy, and you're accumulating merit. It looks easy, but it's how easy it is to do it really sincerely, deeply, to rejoice about the merits of others. It's not so simple, okay? Sure.
comparison to others. In a somehow reverse way, it's very useful.
No, to compare, to see how fortunate we are. Comparing ourselves is not necessarily bad. It's negative in the moment that I am judging others based on me, and I am judging myself in the sense like, okay, I feel better than you, or I feel inferior, and so on. But in the moment that, for example, we start looking how fortunate we are, the example you just gave, it's extremely precious and important, because if we do not compare ourselves with others by any means, then we cannot even understand the preciousness of this life. Then we cannot even give value to the things that we have, that are extremely precious. In this sense, it's very positive to compare. No? It's interesting that the words and the attitudes, they depend on the context in which we put. No? It's like, for example, desire. Desire is negative when we project our happiness in something that cannot sustain it. But when we desire to reach enlightenment to benefit others, it's wonderful desire. No? In the same way, when I compare with others to see how fortunate I am, what precious qualities and opportunities I have, that's wonderful. So in this way, it's positive. No? But we need to be careful when we are comparing ourselves with others, in the sense that seeing ourselves as superior or inferior, and in this way, we need to be careful. So because it's important for us to be able to see the happiness of others, remembering that because someone is happy or someone is better than me doesn't mean that I am worse. You know? One time I was wondering why bad news sells so much. You know? If we see what are the news that people mostly watch? Bad news. And what are mostly the gossip that people mostly do? Negative gossiping. It's very difficult that you listen to people saying gossip. You see how wonderful that friend, he was able to realize his dream of making this, and he helped that. Oh, he became such a patient person. That's how nice. And even, for example, if you see people making gossiping about couples, which is very common to listen. Normally, which the gossip is more about, oh, because he's fighting, because this happened, because that happened. Very rarely you see the gossip we say, oh, you see that two persons, they are so well together, they are so happy, one is supporting the other in such a nice way. We don't listen to much gossip in that way, no? So I was wondering why bad news sells so much. Because what they put in the TV basically is also what we buy, no? And the answer that I found is that when we look at someone that is in a worse situation than us, we feel privileged, we feel superior somehow. Oh, look, I am better than him. You know, normally when a person is criticizing others is a way to try to put himself in a superior way. So when we are talking about the faults of others, when we are talking about the negative aspects of others, when we are looking a lot to the negative aspects and the suffering of others, is a way to show how special I am and the better I am. So it's important for us to be able to look at the suffering of others, remembering that it's not because someone is suffering that I am better or worse. I am what I am. It's not because someone is healthy and happy and in a good situation that it makes my situation worse. In this sense, it's better for us not to compare. It's good for us to understand the conditions that we have. When we see someone that is better than us, we can say, oh, look, I can get better. Look at that person. He's better than me, so I can also get better. It's possible. This is wonderful to do. Okay? But it's important for us also to be able to see others for what they are and ourselves for what we are without this comparison also. So rejoicing is a very powerful method, and it's something that we should do daily also. Rejoice about our friends, our family, our gurus, the holy beings, and our own actions. Okay? So we rejoice, and when we rejoice, we look at Guru Buddha, we remember about the qualities of Guru Buddha, his holy actions, and then we rejoice about it. It gives us joy. Gosung gube gone chao tselong wa shan ro choba malobe thomenesa dikton tam chesha ke par gewan namla jeiram korwa madon bardo lekshun ne. After that, we request Guru Buddha to remain with us until the end of samsara. We say to Guru Buddha, please remain with us. From now up to ever, until I don't reach enlightenment, be nearby me. Once I reach enlightenment, we still are together, but I don't need any more your help like now. Up to now, I really need, so be nearby my side. And the next step, the next branch is where we request the teachings. So the two, for me, the two goes together. We say, Guru Buddha, please remain with me into the end of samsara. Guide me. In every word I say, in every thought I have, in every choice I make, be near by my side. During my life, during my death, at Bebardo, in my all future rebirths, please guide me with the Dharma. We make these two requests in order to create a positive interdependence to have such relationship. Okay? And this tradition is coming also from the time of Buddha, because before Buddha passed away, he went to his attendant, Ananda. And then he said to Ananda, you know, Ananda, a Buddha, if he wanted and if it was requested to him, he could live for tens of thousands of years. And Ananda said, wow, that's nice. Then he repeated again, Ananda, a Buddha, if he wanted and if someone requested him, he could live for hundreds of thousands of years, for tens of thousands of years. And then Ananda said, oh, that's so special. And then he said for a third time, Ananda, listen carefully. A Buddha, if he wanted, and if someone would request him, listen well, someone would request him, then he could live for tens of thousands of years. And Ananda didn't get the point. And he said, oh, how wonderful. And short time after, Buddha passed away. So after that, one of the disciples of Buddha that at the time was living in the mountains in Burma, he came back. He was the one that organized the Sangha afterwards. And he went to live far away because he was physically very similar to Buddha. So there was creating some confusion when Buddha was alive. So he went to live far away. So he came back at the time, and he was the one that organized the Sangha. I don't remember now the name. Rinpoche used, when he told me the story, he told the name, but I don't remember his name. And he was quite hard on Ananda. He was saying, Buddha gave you the opportunity, and you didn't catch it. You know? And since that time came the tradition to request the long life of the masters. Because by requesting, we create a positive interdependence for the long life. That's why we request, Guru Buddha, please remain with us. And as we do this request, we visualize that we offer the double Vajra, like this one, like this. And then we put on the throne of Guru Buddha, symbolizing stability and long life. Okay? So we say, Guru Buddha, you in your essence, there is no dying or rebirth. You are always present, but out of my own ignorance, I need a physical manifestation, so please be with me. Please have a long life. Please be always with me in a gross way, because I need this gross manifestation. So guide me. Then after that, we offer a Dharma wheel, like a golden wheel, representing the teachings. And we request, please give me the teachings. Please guide me in every word I say, every thought I have, every choice I make. Please guide me with the Dharma. And then the last part, we do the dedication. The seventh limb, we dedicate all the merits for the enlightenment of all sentient beings. I dedicate these merits so that I may reach enlightenment in order to help all sentient beings to do the same. So we have prostrations, offerings, admitting our negative actions, rejoicing of the positive actions, requesting Guru Buddha to remain with us, requesting Guru Buddha's teachings to teach us the Dharma, to guide us with the Dharma, and after final dedication. These are the 7 limb prayers. If we take the text of the Guru Puja, it's basically this. It's basically the 7 limb prayers with the preliminaries that we have explained today. Okay? So, this is something that we can do in a very extensive way or in a very short way. But what I really try to always share and to remember is that the 7 limb prayers is something that we need to put into practice during our daily life, not only as a prayer. We need to rejoice during our daily life. We need to openly admit our mistakes. We need to pay respect, make offerings, request the presence, request the teachings, dedicate our merits. It's something that we need to do daily in our life. Okay? So, With this, we conclude the part of the 7 limb prayers. And after the 7 limb prayers, we go, the last part of the preliminaries is called requesting the blessings. Okay? To request the blessings is a way in which, how can I say, we create somehow more intimacy with Guru Buddha. We get more near. It's like getting acquainted to each other, knowing each other deeper and better. And we request the blessings of body, speech, and mind. Because we say, I want to develop the same qualities as yours. So please bless me so I may be able to develop my own potential, my own qualities. So, as we make this request, in order to make the request, we make an offering. It's an offering of request, which we call the mandala offering. So the mandala offering, normally we make this mudra, no? Which is the gesture or the mudra of offering the universe. It represents, the center is called the Mount Meru, which is the center of the universe. And then we have the 4 continents on the 2 sides, okay? And this representation, it represents in one way planet Earth with the different continents, okay? But it also represents the universe. It represents everything that exists. So it has the sun and the moon, the whole solar system, and we can imagine everything. But basically what we do is that if we do the mudra, we visualize in our hand like if it was like a crystal ball. And inside of it is reflecting the whole universe. So with the minimal details, everything is inside there. Okay? And as we offer this pure and perfect environment, we also offer, there are different meanings. One is that we offer the pure environment. It is a way for us to accumulate the causes in order to experience ourselves a pure environment. So especially nowadays that the environment needs so much care, mandala offerings becomes more important. Because by making the offering of a pure environment, we create the causes to experience ourselves such pure environment. So from a cause and effect point of view, more subtle way, offering a pure environment helps us to eliminate pollution somehow, to generate a pure environment at the same time. Okay? This is something subtle, but it's like this. What I offer, I create the causes to experience it myself also. So it's even more important in this way to make the mandala offering. And at the same time, we offer everything, which means I go beyond my own judgment of what is good and what is bad. I offer everything that exists. Because for Guru Buddha, there is no difference. Okay? So there is not more, okay, I like this, I offer, I don't like that, I don't offer, or things like that. Okay? And even sometimes I saw people having lunch or dinner, and they didn't like the food was there. They say, no, I cannot offer this food today. I don't make offerings because the food is not good at all. How can I offer these things to Guru Buddha? Don't need to worry about that. Okay? When we make an offering, sure we need to offer our best. That's why we make Om Ahum. It's purified, transformed, and multiplied. And basically, Guru Buddha, anything that he receives for him will come in the form of bliss because of his own merits. But it's important for us to offer. It's not what I am offering. Okay, Guru Buddha prefers this type of offering. He doesn't like that type of offering. It's like when we do offerings, it's not like trying to gain the favor of Guru Buddha. Okay, oh Buddha, this week I did a lot of offerings. Now you help me. Huh? It's not that. Some people think like this. Huh? They say, oh, I still have my problems. How come Buddha is not helping me? I did so many offerings. Why? Are you bargaining with Buddha? Oh, I gave this to you, now you need to do that? I know in some religions people do that. Okay? There is one church in Brazil, and they have one thing which they call una sfida, como se dice? A challenge to Jesus. The challenge to Jesus means you take your full month's salary and you give to Jesus, which means the church. And then Jesus must help you because you gave everything you had to him. This means you make a challenge, you make an open challenge to Jesus. I have a problem, my son is in drugs, he must get out of drugs, so I will give everything I have, so you take him out of drugs. It's very common in Brazil, this type of things, like in some contexts. Okay? But in Buddhism, we don't believe in that. Okay? So when we make an offering, it's not because we are bargaining something. And like, okay, now I am in special need, so I buy special offerings, so I offer it to the Buddhas, to the gurus, to the protectors, I really am in need. No, it's not the better offering you make, the more they're going to help us. Their love and compassion is always the same. When by making offerings, I accumulate merits that will help me. It's not a matter of someone bargaining with someone the offerings that I do. Okay, it's clear this, no? Because sometimes because of our background, we may think a little bit differently. So, we make the mandala offering as a way of a request. A request means I give importance to what I am about to receive. I am creating the connection when I go there and I make the request. Okay? It's like when someone comes and requests something to us and makes us an offering, independently of what the person is giving us, if we need or if we don't need, if we like or if we don't like, a connection is made. So when we make the offering, we are making a connection. Why do we make offerings? Why Buddha have taught us this system of making offerings? Because Buddha adapts himself to our own mentality and our way of behavior and doing things. How normally when we give something to someone, when we request something, we give something to make a request, we create a connection. If we want to request something from someone, something important, we go empty-handed. No. In Asia, even more, you never go empty-handed to anyone. So, this is what we are going to request, the blessings, because we want to reach enlightenment. So we offer the universe. We offer everything we have. Okay? This is when we make the prayer. Sashi pyoke chushi meto chan renam lishini de gempati sangye shinto mikte warge drogunam da chinla chobra shu yedam guru radna mandala kam niriyatayami. And as we conclude the prayer, we imagine that we receive the blessings. Our request is accepted. And as we offer, and Guru Buddha accepts our request non-verbally by making a smile. By smiling to us, he accepts our request. And in this way, we conclude the part of making the requests for the blessings. Okay? At this point, we're about to conclude the preliminary practices. And the next part, we enter what normally we call self-healing. When we start Locho Sampo, Pa, Gyutra, Shepa, that's the next step, which is receiving the blessings of the lineage. Then we have Oma Guru Buddha Siddhi Hong, which is the part of Guru Yoga. Then we have the relative purification, Eyam Ram Lambam. Then after we have absolute purification, Om Sobawa Shuddha Sarvadharma Sobawa Shuddha Han. Then we have the three transformations, the self-generation as the deity. Then we have the generation of the body mandala, which means lotus, symbols, lotus, 6 syllables, symbols, and Buddhas. And then we have the completion stage, which are the 4 initiations. The vase initiation, which is the 5 initiations of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas plus Vajra Master Empowerment. Then we have the secret empowerment, which is male and female energy, Om Mani Padme Hum. Then we have the wisdom empowerment, Mahasukha, the word empowerment, Vishwa Shanti, and the generation of the deity between sessions, which is Lama Kunjo Sumla Kyapsuchi, and then final dedication. Okay? So this is the outline of the practice, basically. Okay? So we reached up to here. I think it's a good point. I didn't go into too many details about all this part, because I was a little bit afraid that if I go into too many details about these preliminary parts, we will get to Sunday and we are half in the preliminary practices. So I prefer not to go into many details about it. After, when we conclude, if we have still time, then we can go back and explain other things wherever we may have doubts or wherever we may have interest to know more. Okay? But it's important for us to see that the preliminary practices by itself, it's already a very important practice. There's a lot to do. It's not just something like, oh, okay, that's the preliminaries, let's go quickly. That's for beginners. Atisha, that was one of the greatest Buddhist masters that ever existed, when he was old, he would make the water offerings in his altar. And he was sick, so he was trembling. He was not able to walk well, so he was there in front of his altar, trembling to put the water. And then his attendant and disciple came and he said, "Oh, Master, please, you stay in the bed. I do the offerings for you." He looked at him and he said, "Do you want also to eat for me?" So it's not for beginners. It's something for all of us. Like Lama Tsongkhapa, he did, I don't remember, I think 1.5 million prostrations. Not in the very beginning. More than half of his life away, like when he already had all the knowledge. In order to accumulate merits and to purify negativities, in order to have the realizations, not just intellectual understanding. He did, I think, few millions mandala offerings. So it is something that at least some we need to do. It is once a day, no? So this part of the preliminary practice, one of the good news is that if we do like different other practices, like let's say we want to do different practices of the Vajrayana path, which can be Vajrayogini, Yamantaka, Kala Chakra, Tara Chittamani, self-healing, environment, whatever. The preliminaries, we can do them once. We do the preliminary practice one time, very well done, and then after that we can add any other practices we want. And the preliminary practice is the same. We can do it through the recitation that we did this morning of the normal preliminary practices that Rinpoche taught us. We can do with the Guru Puja, which is also a preliminary practice, without the Tsog offering. It's exactly a preliminary practice. We can do the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsongkhapa, which is also a preliminary practice there. We can do it in many different ways, but we cannot not do it. In many ways how we can do, but it's better to do it.
For what reason is not the content of this sadhana?
The reason why it's not in the content of the sadhana is because Rinpoche, he had the intention since the beginning to make self-healing the most accessible as possible for everyone. And he always had this idea also to show self-healing in a way that you are not necessarily, you don't need to be Buddhist in order to do it. So there is no taking refuge, there is no a lot. So it's like he took the most part of the essence, the most important part, and he put it more accessible to us. Another reason is that the preliminary practices are common to all practices. And this is the part that goes after that, okay? But generally speaking, it's important for us to do the preliminary practices. Personally, I put a lot of emphasis in that because I feel that we are in the beginning, no? And we need to have solid basis. We need to develop love towards ourselves, love towards others, accumulate merits, rejoice, purify our negativities. All of this is important. And the preliminary practices are quite easy. Once we know how to do them a little bit, it goes quite fast also. And it's very deep. But it's something that we need to do in this way. Okay? We can do them very fast, only with very few words, or we can do them very long also. Like in Tashi Lumpu, they have one special ceremony where it takes a whole day to do the preliminary practices. Okay, when you go to purification, you can stay hours doing Vajrasattva mantra and different practices of purification, then rejoicing. Then you reach the life stories of great masters and you rejoice about their deeds. And then you go to requesting the blessings, and then you do long mandala offerings and hours of mantra recitation to request the blessings. There are many ways how you can do it in a very extensive way also. Okay? But it's something that it's important for us to know, to do. If we want, the point is like this. If we want to practice any gomde, any sadhana on Vajrayana Buddhism in a deeper level, we must get acquainted with the preliminaries. It's like this. In other traditions, they teach that before even receiving an initiation, you need to do 100,000 times refuge, 100,000 times bodhicitta generation, 100,000 times offerings, and like this, and like it goes on. Okay, in our Gelugpa tradition, it's not in that way, but still, it is very important for us to do the preliminaries. We don't need to overlook it. But for some reason, I don't know exactly why, in our culture we like very high things. Oh, there are 4 classes of Tantra. We watch which one you prefer. What's the highest one? That's the one I will follow. We never ask what are the qualities that I need to have to follow it. We don't ever ask what are the commitments that I need to do, what are the requirements that I need to have. We just want the best, the highest. So sometimes I had the sensation that people like very much the highest of the highest initiations, and even, this is not nowadays, also in Tibet, if you see the names, the highest of the highest of the highest initiations, and we are attracted by that. Like, I remember one time Rinpoche was in Singapore, and then they want initiation. So Rinpoche gave the initiation of the 4 limitless. So he gave the initiation of, may all beings have happiness and its causes, may all beings be free from suffering. And it was so beautiful. He made it in such a nice way, because people were attracted by initiation. But what he was teaching them, preliminaries. But we need to do them stable. It's something very important. And the more we will go along the path, the more we will learn, the more we will see how important it is. Okay? So we stop here now. And then after the next session, we will do some practice together. And then we will start with the explanation of the other part of the practice, which is normally what we see in the sadhana of self-healing. We start from that point, which is still part of the preliminaries, the first part, which is requesting the blessings of the lineage. Okay? Jetsun lame kotse raptenchi namkar chinle chochur gepada losan tempe drume sasumgi drove munse tato ne gyurchi nimo dele tsendele nime Nintsen taktu delekpe Koncho sumgi jingi lom Koncho sumgi ngodrupso Koncho sumgi trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the 3 jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.